let's kick it off. Welcome to the meetup. We hope you all can see the agenda. We have OrderCloud highlights, which is presented by me, ta-da, and then we have a Development X-ccelerator.
Presented by me, James.
And then at the end, if anybody will have some good discussions, say that. Say again. Say again, James.
I was just saying that's presented by me, JSS. Sadly, you kind of you froze for a second then.
Okay. All right, sorry. Okay, but let's just kick it away. It's probably be around 20 minutes for me, and I don't know how long time you're going to use, James, but
about the same, yep. I think, yeah.
All right, let's just go ahead. So what I've been doing is I've been poking around to see all the updates that the nice guys at the OrderCloud have been doing, and there's actually been a lot. I counted it to be 34 releases so far, which is quite a lot, right? And of course, some of it is bug fixes, some of it is new features, but still really nice rolling deployments all the time. And I've just selected a couple of features that I find interesting, because there's a lot. I'm not going to go through like 34 different releases. It will take probably longer than 20 minutes. So I've been looking at the message centers and delivery configurations, which I think is a really cool concept. The EntitySync, and then of course something with the Content Hub integration, which of course is interesting, as Content Hub is often used for a PIM, kind of like PIM system. And then of course a bit about promotions and the rules engine, which I also find very cool, and what you can do in OrderCloud is add some new functions to it. But this is some of the functions I want to go through, which is kind of interesting, the ifs function. Anyway, let's dive into it. So first of all, the message centers and delivery configurations. So delivery configurations is a way for all the stuff that's going outside. Let's see if it opens up. Of course, it opens up in the wrong browser, of course. Delivery configuration is a way where you can decide where your messages going out of OrderCloud is going. And instead of defining them like in each individual call out, you can do it in a shared place, and that delivery configuration can actually push it out to multiple endpoints at the same time. You just identify that ID. So let's see here. And there's known configurations, and then some custom. So the customs, you can choose between Kafka instances, HTTP endpoint, which is what I'm going to use, very simple, blobs, tables, and then of course you have built some known integrations, which is primarily for what OrderCloud, before it got to be a Sitecore product, it had some Madrill API integrations, and the rest of it you can see that is of course integrations to Sitecore's other products. Message centers. So what is nice to know about message centers is basically that instead of using webhooks, with webhooks you get very little information, but with message centers, OrderCloud gathers a bunch of different information and send off in one request, which makes it easier for you depending on, of course, what you want to use it for. So I have a little example of that, say with a forgot password, on how that would look. So let's look at how message centers are defined. I can find my browser here. So message centers are all the way down here. And you simply click create, and then you can create it. But there's a thing that you notice if you do this. There is no way that you can identify what delivery configuration you're going to use. So if you want to do that, you have to switch it to the normal way of doing it. And if you do I better go to here instead, sorry. Delivery configurations, message centers, let me do it here. If I do a create message center, if you do it in here, you actually have the options to put a delivery configuration. And delivery configurations look like this. I have a couple over here for my examples. One of them is a delivery configuration for a forgotten password, which is what I'm going to use as a message example. And when that happens, it triggers a call to my endpoint, local endpoint that I've set up with my ngrok here. Yeah, it's running somewhere here as well. Let me see. All the way down here. So with that one, I can trigger it and call my local. I just create a very simple next app and a small API endpoint so I can see what it's gonna send. So let's just go ahead and try to do this. So this is just a user, and you can see James is using the James Marketplace. Is that good for you? Thank you. And I have my user one here, and I can go up here and say, I forgot my password. I just need some API client ID. I put that in here, and then I need the username. I created a very challenging name for a Meetup user, and triggered this one. Should probably see a call come through my ngrok, and I do, and I should also see it hitting somewhere down in my next app down here. So this was what I got. I got data from the header, I got the full payload, the recipient, email address, username, everything else that I need. And I also, of course, get my renewal verification code. So this is all I basically need to be able to send out an email without doing multiple calls back to OrderCloud, and just take this message sender, connect it to my email system or one of the pre-configured, and just use that instead. Pretty nice, as I see it. This was the one I showed. Then I also want to look a bit at EntitySync and Product Sync, which I think is interesting. So, of course, if you build an e-commerce website and you have all your catalog information and products and everything in OrderCloud, well, they need to get to a search engine. They need to get maybe into a CMS or the other way around. So I want to see what happens with the Product Sync. So they have definitions of entity synchronization. Bit of the same again. You can put it to Kafka, HTTPS, and this is the different kind of objects you can pull. You can actually, not all of them actually shown here because I'm trying to do with products that seem to work fine. So maybe this is the wrong link or maybe a little outdated. Let's see what else I have here. Yeah, you can get notifications, so you can configure it whether it's on updated, deleted, or whatever. Let's see how that look like in the API over here. I have it down here. It is called product synchronization. I think it's very, very simple. It's almost nothing you can do about it. If not, that was the wrong one. I need to get one with the right. Yeah, you can see say sync when it's changed with it when deleted. So I guess that's not when created, I guess. But anyway, changed and created is probably the same. So I did the same trick here. I created another endpoint in my next application. Very simple again. Just printed it out. And then I'm gonna change the product somewhere. Let me go and find the product. This is, let me see. Give me a product, just any kind of products. As usual, I cannot remember this one, so let me pull up products. Yeah, just give me a random product. This is a nice product. I like this one. ID, pull up the products. And let me just see. I can do a patch, I guess. Why not?
Yeah.
Product ID and what about description? Obvious, right? Description. Oh, I probably need a product ID down here too. And
no, you don't. Only if you're
I don't need
updating
that.
No.
Okay, cool. Here's Smiley. Let's see what happens. And we go back to our ngrok, still says it, and ngrok is actually, just because I love ngrok, you get the full of it. Full request here. And what is actually, if you don't use ngrok, which is really nice, you can choose the replay, so you don't need to anything here from OrderCloud. You can just repeat it here. It's
That's cool.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, so you got the full product down here. Here we go. Oh, that was up here. So this is where it comes, right? The payload, the product, the name, the description, and my smiley. Everything is good. Simple stuff, but nice feature. Then there's the Content Hub integration. I actually don't have an example of that, but I want to put it out there because I feel like a lot of places I've seen, like they have, if you have OrderCloud, you might also have a Content Hub, and then clients start to use Content Hub as a PIM. You can discuss whether it's a true PIM or not PIM, but it can be used as a PIM. At least and everything has an APIs and everything, and you can not do actual syndication, but this is sort of getting there. So you can see the cool thing is that they made it bidirectional, so you can either like have access to your products inside Content Hub, or you can use Content Hub to push products into OrderCloud, which is kind of cool. Then my favorite topic, promotions. They have some new features, which is really cool. So with the OrderCloud, you know, there's this thing like you have an eligible formula you put up, so that defines what if a promotion is eligible for this card, and then you have one that calculates it. And they have some new features on how to limit when a given promotion is eligible. So this one is a really fun example and a pretty new as far as I recall. So an example here where you have a promotion and you want to give 30% off to the least 3 expensive items. So this is done like, you know, eligible. Okay, you have to place more than $50, and then it takes all the line items and sort it by this line, the line subtotal, and limit it to maximum 3. It's kind of fun way of doing it. So, and then they have a continue like that. They have made it, of course, if you want the other way around, if you exclamation mark in front of sort, it do the other way, or the sorting. So it's and then yeah, they have a bunch of other fun features. I want to jump to that IFS function, which is a fun example too. So it's to support threshold discounts. So this is an example, like say that you spend at least $10 on category, and all the products should be in the masks category, then you get 5% off. But if you spend $50, you get 10% off, and so on and so forth. And the way you write it is they have this in category. This is not the new stuff, but the new one is the value expression. So it's sort of a never-ending if statement saying, if this first evaluates to true, then this one is executed. This one executed, and so on and so forth. Kind of a fun stuff. I have a small example, if I could get to work here. Let's see. This is somewhere else. I have a card here, and I put in my promotion. So this is my promotion, and you see that's exactly what was on the slide. It's very small, I know. Sorry for that. Hope you can see it. And my card, I just want to make sure you can see the card lines, get the card line items. So I have just one product, is the mulberry silk face mask. I have only one in there. So you can see I get it. It's the unit price is $35. I get 5%, so you know I get $1.75 in discount. So if I am going to change the quantity here, let's see what's the easiest one to do that. This is probably this one line item. And this is probably one where James gonna say I don't need this, but I'm doing it anyway. And product ID, and what about 2? That must be enough, right? So now I have 2. I still don't have it because I have to either I have to also apply eligible. Let's see if that helps. Yes, I got a promotion discount on 7 now. So I could do a calculate card, but since I created this promotion as a auto apply, I can just call that other function. So now I get another one, and then I can of course try to get it to get even 15%, right? So I can do the same thing again here, get the list of card line items, and I want to do a partially update. This is the line item ID. Sorry, James, I keep doing it.
You don't need the product ID either.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just buy 10. And I can go back now to multiply, I guess, already. And now I get a postage count of 52.5, which is 10%. That makes sense? Yeah, maybe. Well, when you're not so good at math, what can you do, man? What can you do? That was basically what I had. So I was kind of quick, huh? But this function is kind of cool. It seems like they put a lot of new promotion features in this year. I have a feeling why, but we'll leave that out. But cool, nice features they have, and it's really flexible that you could just go ahead and build the promotions like this. So thumbs up for that. And now, I don't know if I spelled this correctly because it looks like the spelling is different from time to time, James.
It's all right, don't worry.
You want to take over the screen?
Yeah, I'll start sharing. Yeah, otherwise it's going to be very boring.
Sure.
Hopefully you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a little bit of an introduction, give you some background, and I'm going to talk about the various kind of versions of this tool, and then obviously doing a bit of a demo as we go. And at the end, I'll show you the kind of fun bit, which is the plugin to Sitecore and kind of all the fancy fields and stuff that it has. And then, hopefully there'll be a chance for some questions at the end. So I'm James S. Sadler. I'm a Sitecore developer architect, been working on Sitecore for about 15 years. And I started on Sitecore 6.2, and I came in kind of from the C# world. I didn't know anything about Sitecore. And first thing I noticed was that there was no object relational mapping technology whatsoever. GlassMapper wasn't around back then. And I didn't like the idea of all this kind of inline strings and all this kind of stuff trying to reference fields. And I wanted to build a mapper. So I actually built something called the data access layer for this particular project, which kind of was an early incarnation of GlassMapper, actually, as it turns out. It had caching and it could do CRUD. But it kind of led me down a path. And this is where we come to this. So about 4 years ago, I went to work on a project for a university. I'd been working with this partner before, and they use Unicorn. They don't use TDS for doing their serialization. But this is the first time I was leading a project, and it was big. And I didn't like the way that the other developers were kind of building out the object relational mapping classes. They were hand coding them. And I felt that you have no way of synchronizing those with changes in Sitecore. This is Unicorn, through Unicorn. And I wanted something better. So I ended up building this command line tool that would read the YAML files and generate GlassMapper. I wanted to use GlassMapper, not the kind of, I call it SXA, the kind of, and there's lots of reasons to use GlassMapper, but I built this tool, a command line tool, and started using it. And because of this project, the tool kind of got developed and extended far more than it would have done otherwise, because this was a complicated project that had, we were importing data, and so it needed to do CRUD, and the entities being used for CRUD needed to be different to those that, that would read the data. So there was all sorts of things like that. And so it kind of spawned off of that. And basically what I ended up with was a highly configurable tool that you could bring in various aspects of, say, GlassMapper to it. But the most important things were that it was generating a single GlassMapper class in a file. So this is where we start to look at, just to switch, we start to look at TDS, because TDS does something similar, but it generates this huge file that I've seen sometimes has 30, 40,000 lines of code in. And we all know that when you try to rebuild it, it doesn't work properly. We have all these workarounds, and sometimes Visual Studio just can't even manage it. So and 90% of the stuff in there you're never going to use, right? So it's all being loaded into memory. It's all having an impact, and it's like, so again, this tool kind of evolved at that point to say, well, let's do TDS as well. So it was fairly easy to extend it to then read TDS. And finally, in the kind of the last few days, I got it working with GraphQL, so it can actually use GraphQL and can read the templates directly from Sitecore and then generate your models. It can generate GlassMapper, which is kind of what most of the configuration is about, but it can also do the traditional SXA, can do TypeScript. I think we had Knockout as well. So without further ado, let's get into the demonstration part. So I have down here, you can see I have it running as the command line, well, 3 command line tools. I'll go through them. I should also say that it can be used in part as part of your build pipeline. Sorry, go ahead.
So we just see your desktop so far.
Yeah, I'm just about to bring it up. Sorry, yeah,
okay.
Here we go. So here's what it looks like when you bring it up. Now I've already started using this one, so it's actually you basically, as you go through using the tool, you point it at your features. And if you don't have features, there's some configuration you can do to turn off features and treat folders as features. But in this particular world, I've pointed it at my my serialized items that are on the disk, and one is a feature called Marketo, and the other one's called Content. So I'm going to go through and show you what it looks like. And you can see up here that the file type we're reading is YAML, and we're going to output GlassMapper. Okay, so you come into the tool. This is already set up for you at this point, and you need to reread it, or you need to output a GlassMapper model for something in this contents feature. So we hit 1, and you can see it brings up all of the different templates. And you say, well, actually, I've made a change to accordion. So accordion is the one I want to do. But I've actually also made a change to accordion item. So I can comma separate them here. So like that. Okay, so do I want to change the namespace that's going to be written to the file? No, I don't, because it's called accordion. It's going to output it to that location. Now you could have it output to your solution or to your project, but I prefer to sort of copy it over. And there you go. It's done it, and it's taking you back. So if we go and look in here, I hope I can find it with YAML, and we look in model generation, we should see we have two C# classes generated, and I'll open one of them with Notepad, and you can see straight away that it's created all of this stuff for us, put it in the right namespace. Now, there's lots of configuration that we can do here. So I'll leave this open. You can have it so that it just outputs the interface, doesn't bother with the actual the concrete class. You can override the glass base. You can override so for example the property type here. So instead of saying enumerable GUID, you might want to have enumerable accordion item. So you can do that all through configuration, so that every time you run the tool, it will then produce consistent class. You don't have to worry about it. There's lots of other things you can do as well. So again, this is GlassMapper specific, but you can tell it, I don't want to use this to map to a template. What I want to do is map to a branch. So GlassMapper supports what we call a branch mapping. So there's a slightly different attribute notation up there. But what that means then is when you use the model for CRUD, it doesn't just create the item, it will create the entire branch. So coming back to when I was using it for this university, we were importing faculty member profiles, and they wanted to have a folder structure under each one. So that was how we achieved that. And every time a new one gets input, it's created, it creates it with the folder structure. You can even through the configuration tell it to import templates from different maybe from Foundation or from other features if you want to do that, so that those templates will then be used to build out the field lists in your current model. So there's just a huge amount of stuff that you can do here. So you can also, through the tool here, let's go back and have a look at, say, number 1 again. There's also an option to go through the additional actions here. So you can actually go through and you can reset the namespace if you want to do that, or you can go through and actually manage the configuration. Now, unfortunately, when you make this wider, it tends to mess up. Yeah, let me just exit out, come back in again. Still not, okay. So all of those things I talked about, you can manage them here. It will take you through and it will list out the various pieces you need to build out the configuration, and then it will save it to the disk for you. So it'll do all of that for you. So you don't need to kind of be a whiz at config editing, you can do it all here. I'm not going to go through that now because it's kind of a lot to go through, but I'm just trying to whiz through it, as it were. You can also add a new area. So let's say I want to add, you have to bear with me now. So this one has the folder browsing turned on, so it will take you to a route which is pre-configured. And I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to say I want to bring in a new template. I think we had Marketo already, so let's go. I don't know what this is. Well, okay, let's just bring in this. There you go. So it's created. Now you can press S at this point, and it will just create the configuration file. But unfortunately, this isn't working. So I'm going to not do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to just say create all the. So here now you're going to go and create. Oh, sorry, put in the namespace. This is cool. This is what are we in now? This is. I can't remember. Sorry, my brain's. I'm just going to call it that for now. Can't remember what the feature was. A CMP. There we go. Yeah, we're going to output it. It's fine. I'll just call it CMP as well. And there we go. And now it's going to create the configuration for me. It's going to ask me where you want to save it. And again, it goes to the default location, and it saved it. And now you can see it's in here, ready to be selected again. Should you want to, generate models from that feature again. And obviously, those configurations can be source controlled. And yeah. Okay, let's close this one down. So I'll just show you, this is another one here. So this one here is reading TDS. It looks very similar, but these are TDS. It's actually reading TDS, and it's going to output. It's going to output what I call the SXA model type. So we'll do this quickly. I'm just going to pick one here. This is 36. Queues. We're going to go, and it's done it already. So now I've just got to find it in here. See, it's what I. Yeah, that was the one. But you can see all it does is produce these constants, and that you can then reference in your code when referencing the item. You can either use the name or you can use the ID. That's very, very simple. And then finally, on this, and then this is the, and again, why is it doing that? Oh, there we go. So where you see here, it's saying the GraphQL and TypeScript up here. You can mix and match these, right? So you could have it, with YAML and TypeScript, or YAML, so you don't have to, so this time now, when I go and pull in a feature here, that's actually reading directly from Sitecore through the GraphQL endpoint. It's using the master endpoint, not Edge, because Edge doesn't support the root item query, which is a bit of a pain. So I had to use master, and to get it to work for this demo, I had to disable the authentication as well. So just to prove that it works, but I want to go into Sitecore. So I'm going to show you, we're going to use horizontal entry point here and just output that, and we'll go in and just see it. And then what I'm going to do is regenerate it after I've made a change in Sitecore, so you can see the difference. So we should see it here. So you can see this is doing a headless JSS. So it's bringing in, it's using a different mapping to GlassMapper here, different field types, because it's coming through to your front end. And now if I go into Sitecore here, this will still be a valid session. Yeah. I'm going to go into here, content points. I'm going to go horizontal entry point here. I'm just going to add test. Doesn't really matter, it's just to show that we've got something. That's the other thing I should have pointed out, that when I showed you the class, this is all inherited from base templates. There's not the actual template still has nothing on it, but now there'll be one extra one coming through when we run it. Now it's thinking about it. There we go. I know it's a bit like that. So we go like that again. And now hopefully, yeah, we should see this has changed. And now we have our test field come through. So I feel like for future, with the other two technologies, with the TDS and YAML, you have to remember to do the serialization first, and then you can run your model generator. With this, you don't have to do that. Okay, so the final piece now is just to show you the fun bit, which is the code base for this is completely separate than what you saw before. And I should also mention that what you saw before can be used in your build pipelines and in your task runner in Visual Studio. So it can all be wired in there. This is, to say, a bit of fun, but what I've built is a module in here called the Development X-ccelerator. And as you create templates or you modify templates in certain pre-specified sections of your templates, models will be generated in here and updated on the fly. So we got the accordion item here, and if we look at it, you can see that there's, because of the actually, let me go here first. Sorry, this is the configuration just to show you. So that's, rather than having your config file, it's all done in here, and you can see that I'm outputting JSS, and there's some various configuration elements in here. And then I define what considered single item types and multi-field item types. There's lots of stuff going on here. I won't go through it all, but now you can see, if I look at the accordion here, you can see that as it got generated, there are basically 3 fields. And you can see that this one's got an override set on it. So when we look in here, we can see that the output is generated like that. And you can even go in here and just copy it, or you can download it. It comes up over here. But let's change this. So we're going to go into feature, content, accordion, and going to go in here. And we're going to add X. It saves in a second. Obviously, there's a few extra processes running now, and it should, fingers crossed, have refreshed in here. There we go, and it has.
Yep.
And let's finally, I'll just show you this because this is cool. So you can go back in here and go, you know what? I'm not doing JSS anymore. I'm back to GlassMapper. Save this. You have to do a reset here as well, just to refresh the caches. There we go. Now, when I go into the accordion item, oops, cancel that. When you go in here, you go down the bottom. So it's still showing the React model, but you'll see now you've got a big red X here because it's saying, yeah, your model doesn't match what it should do. Hit rebuild. And there we go. It's regenerated it now, and it's now a GlassMapper model. So there we go. Any questions?
So
No
what can I
questions,
save?
but
Like,
that model's pretty cool.
Sorry, say that again, Michael. I didn't catch that.
I said no questions, but your modules is pretty cool.
Thank you. Thanks. A couple of years of building it out, but yeah.
Yeah. So like, for a dumb question, like, so what do I save? Like, besides you get all the process really, really structured. So what do I save? Like, effective development time? What?
Yeah,
Everybody's doing the same.
Yes, there's a lot of those things, right? So there's you're first of all, you're generating models that you need rather than all of them, and you're able to very granularly select exactly what it is you want to output, right? If you want to, you don't have to do that, but if you want to. So, but you're also being consistent. So, every time the templates change in Sitecore, you know that I can run the tool and all my configuration is going to be applied, and I'm going to get the same output again each time. And then if we start thinking about TDS and its model generation, that the big thing for me is that single file per class, and I'm not getting all that other junk like folders and all that other structure. So there's, and I think it's a cost saving for your project, and it's a time saving for you as a developer.
So that's also a cost for the end project. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I like it, especially that it's selective for that perspective, because we all know how it goes with TDS and stuff like that. It takes forever, and you just sit there waiting.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
It's a pain.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else we want to bring up? No. Yes. No.
Nothing here.
All right. Okie dokie. Then we just call it a day, and everybody can open up their Teams and play with Snapchat filters.
Yeah, sounds great.
But yeah, thanks a lot for the presentation, James. Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you.
Bye.